going to lay completely on your belly, and you're going to stack forearm on top of forearm, like so, and place your head on your stacked forearms. Now, for those of us who feel like we cannot do that, there's always on your back. So maybe try it, and if you just feel claustrophobic, you can always use your blanket, rolling it up and placing it underneath your armpits. So let me show you how that looks. Because sometimes this helps to make a U, and just sticking your chest in here, stacking. That might give you a little bit more space. If you find that your shoulders hurt, perhaps putting your head on the blanket or a block and placing your arms out in cactus arms, that also might be very helpful. So try that. Try that. If it's not working, roll over onto your back and place your hands on your belly. And I see that most people have their cameras off, and that is A-okay. You don't have to have your camera on, but if you do have a question about something and you want me to see your body, just let me know. Unmute yourself and put your camera back on. Now remember, as we kind of start to unplug from sensory overload, which is our everyday way of being, it takes a moment. Practice patience. Allow yourself this time. You are worth it. You are worth this time. You deserve it. You deserve rest and restoration. But perhaps you've noticed here as you breathe in your Makarasana, your crocodile pose, that there's a resistance. The belly wants to open as it usually does on inhale. Inhale, the diaphragm descends into the torso, and there's sort of an expansion of the abdominal cavity. And then on exhale, there's sort of a pulling in and up as the diaphragm ascends back to its space underneath the lungs. And this is the coolest thing about Makarasana, is we can feel this gigantic muscle. We can feel it moving. And we can feel the resistance of the floor and how the whole muscle now engages the back body. You might even feel it at the base of your pelvis. This expansion, this softening, and then on exhale, this drawing in and up. And these are things that we want to touch into at the beginning of any kind of movement, because everything we do when we move, it's all about the breath. The diaphragm is deeply connected to the vagus nerve. And we know that when we're stressed out, we're shallow breathing, or we're not breathing at all. Think about the last time you were really, really frightened and how your breath felt. This is the opposite breath. This is the deep and smooth and balanced and relaxed breath. So let it feed you. Let's take another 5 breaths this its way. Wherever you are on your back or on your belly, just allow yourself to set an intention for the next 45 minutes. Maybe it's just staying with this kind of breath or staying focused on the breath. Allowing this to be the way you practice your self-compassion, to breathe deeply and evenly. But maybe there's something else that brought you out to your mat tonight. Maybe something else you'd like to take away with you. And then let's all press ourselves back into child's pose. So if you're on your back, you'll need to move onto your belly. For those of us in Makarasana or crocodile pose, we'll just come back into child's pose. Child's pose is knees together or knees apart. Some of us need to make some space for bellies. And then head on the floor. If your head is way up off the floor, maybe that beautiful block underneath your forehead. And just allow yourself one more time to experience the breath here. Now, child's pose is something that most yoga teachers will tell you is a good place to go if you feel, out of breath, overwhelmed, you don't want to do this pose, whatever. All sorts of things come up for us in class, and child's pose is just a good place to take a little rest stop. But for lots of us, it's not the most restful thing. This is another place where a blanket can be helpful underneath the knees or the tops of your ankles. Let's take one more full deep breath here. And then coming up into table posture. So table, knees are underneath your hips and hands underneath your shoulders. Let's begin to find conscious breath with conscious movement. So on your inhale, drop your belly and let your tailbone go up to the sky. Bring your gaze up to the sky, press into your hands. Exhale, round through the spine. So feel your pubic bone working its way towards your lower rib. Drop your crown of your head to the earth, your tailbone to the earth. So now we want this to be a picture of your breath. So just keep the breath flowing as it was in your crocodile or on the back. Smooth and even, deep and continuous. But now let the breath dictate body movement. Become aware if you hold your breath, just to make it to a different place, right? Let's not do that today. Let's just honor the breath. Honor what our body feels like. And then coming back to neutral spine, and by that I mean that we've got a little bit of a tone in the lower belly and our shoulder blades are down the back. Now move your hands about 3 inches from where they are now, and let's take some big circles around and around with the hips. Go slow enough here so that you feel what you need to feel. Maybe one hip feels different. Maybe you've been doing a lot of sitting as you've traveled to school and you feel those little trigger points in your hips. Maybe you're an athlete and there's just something, an old injury. But let's just take a trip here. And then we'll come back to neutral spine. Lift your right leg up and back behind you and keep it hip height and flex into your foot. So see if you can really get tall and long in your spine, and then lift up into your left hand, thumb faces up. And then let's just surf these changes. Listen to what you're saying about your balance. Keep your breath moving. And then dropping your hand to the earth, your foot down to the bottom of your mat, but then let's place it parallel to the back of the mat. Lift up into your right hand for modified side plank. Shoulder stacks on top of shoulder. If you feel like you need a challenge, maybe lifting that foot up off of the earth. Let's give it one more full deep breath here. And on your exhale, coming back down to your table. Let's sit back to heels. Here's where most of us are starting to feel it in our wrists. I will tell you, we do so much texting and holding onto different kinds of things in our hands. So bring your wrists together and let's just give ourselves a little bit of a wrist massage. And shake out your hands and then back to your table. Again, a couple of cat-cows. Inhaling, dropping belly, lifting chest and chin. Exhale, round through the spine. 2 more times on your own breath. And then back once more, neutral spine. Lift your left leg up and back behind. Flex in the foot. Right hand out in front of you. Surf those little quakey shaky. And then hand to the mat, foot to the mat, modified side plank on this side. Shoulder on top of shoulder. Maybe lifting the leg up off of the mat. And slow and steady, everything down to the mat. Once again, inhale, drop your belly, lift your chest and chin. Exhale, round through the spine. 2 more times. Last time. And then cross your ankles, and then let's just place our bum behind your feet. Find a cross-legged seat. Here's where it's really nice to sit on a blanket. Okay, so we elevate a little bit. See how that works? We can find our knees a little bit lower than the hips, which is going to be kind of much more comfortable. Inhale, hands high. Drop your right hand down to the earth, side stretching right, and then sweep that hand out in front of you and over to the left. And find your right hand up and over. Let's just take this as a little flow. Go slow, see what you need to see. Feel what you need to feel. All right, the next time we come around to the middle, let's just be here in the middle. Let your hands slide out in front of you and drop your head so that your ears are in the same plane as the inside of your upper arms. Keep a tuck in your chin. Press into your hands, really energize into your back body. So deep, full breath here. Exhale out completely, and then begin a walk towards the midline, and then hands back behind you, and lift up into your heart. Keep a little tone in the lower belly, just that strength, allowing you to pinch your shoulder blades together, to smile your collarbones. Keep your gaze up to the ceiling, and then release. Allow yourself just to find some space where you can just take a picture of your experience. Big circles round and round, and in the opposite direction. And coming back to the center, let's switch out the cross of our legs, all right? So usually there's a foot that we want in front and a foot in back or on top or bottom. Let's just find the awkward cross. Inhale, hands high. Take a twist over to the right. So finding your left hand to right knee. Let's try not to crank. Let's try and use the belly muscles to shine the heart towards the right side wall. Now lift your right hand up to the sky and take a side stretch towards your left knee. Hold on to your right knee with your left hand. So we get this long, long, long side body. From here, drop your right hand to your left knee. So here we are, elbow on top of elbow. Come on up, elbow on elbow, and take eagle arms, wrapping your arms, or just give yourself a big hug, holding on to your opposite shoulders. Draw your elbows up, shoulder height, and now let's take 3 big circles. Notice what's happening in your neck and in your upper back body. And then open up the hands as far back as they'll go. Keep that belly engaged. And then bring the hands down to the mat. Shrug your shoulders up and around and in the opposite direction. And then once again, find your way into just this moment of experience. Inhale, hands high to the sky. We're taking a twist this time to the left. And we can't expect perfection ever, right? And we certainly can't expect to find what we need to find the very first moment we're there. So allow a pose to unfurl for you. See what you can explore about these old shapes, right? By the time you've practiced for 15 years, you've done this a lot. All right, raise your left hand high to the sky, and now let's take a side stretch over towards the right knee, long, 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 in the left side body. How's your breath flowing? Now drop the lifted hand to the opposite knee. We've got elbow on top of elbow, and coming up, we're going to take either eagle arms or hold on, whichever feels good. Lift your elbows up, shoulder height, and we'll do 3 and another 3, and then an opening. Open, open, open. Keep those shoulder blades down the back, but pinch them together. And release. Shrug your shoulders up to the ears and down the back. Round and round. Open up your legs, and let's find our way off of the prop now. Bring your feet out in front of you. Place them onto the mat and sit up tall. You can hold on to your knees. Now for some of us, this might look more like this. Whatever it looks like in your body is just fine. A lot of us have really tight hip flexors and it's hard to sit up tall on those sit bones on the base of your pelvis. But just give yourself a moment to notice how this feels. What has to engage and what don't you really need? You know, are you gritting your teeth? Are you furrowing your brow? What can you just kind of let go? From here, hands out to the sides of your knees, palms face up. Keeping the heart lifted, allow yourself just to lean back. So now the torso is in a diagonal. So you almost look like half a W, right? But engage here in the belly. Lift up into the heart. See if you can continue to breathe. Now lift your feet, cross your ankles, and let's come back into table. All right, so here we are. Let's give ourselves a counter to a little bit of that. So drop your belly, lift your chest and chin, exhale, round through the spine. A couple more times. Last time. Coming back to neutral spine. Let's lift the right hand up to the sky and then draw it through. We're not coming in to thread the needle, so we're not coming down. We're just going to draw it as far out as we can and then lift it back up and then out. Up on an inhale and on your exhale this time, exhale, engage through the belly. Now find your way down to the earth. Now, for some of us, this is difficult to find our way to the earth, so you could always use your yoga block here underneath your head or your shoulder. Or you can just, come back to your seated and try another twist. Wherever you are, if you want to challenge in your thread the needle, you can always straighten out into your left hand, right? You can move that left hand back around you and look for your right thigh with your fingers. You can press the right hand down into the mat. Find a little bit more of a twist. And let's come out. So hand back underneath the shoulder and coming back to your table. Let's try that on the other side. So left hand up. Exhale, hover. Left hand up. Think about that left hand moving all the way over to the right side wall. One more time, but this time we're coming all the way down and we will settle in. All right? Once you have found your edge, your challenging place, this side I can't wrap. So I keep it out, pressed. Notice your breath. Notice your breath. Let's give it one more. And then we will come back to table one more time. All right. So from here, let's crawl our way up a little bit more toward the front of the mat. Send your right foot back behind you and cross it over left. Take a look behind you at your left toes. Your right toes over your left shoulder. So get long in your right side body and short in your left side body. And then bring it back behind you, bend into the knee, and really slowly, like you're working your way through molasses, let's take some big hip circles. See how big those circles can get. and in the opposite direction. And then back to your neutral spine. Send your left foot back and cross it over your right. Take a look back at your toes. And again, long in the right side body. Come back, neutral spine, bend, and we'll take some big circles with this hip, and then opposite direction. And then once more back to your neutral spine. Send your right foot back behind you, and let's take a little bit of a wrist and Achilles tendon opener here, back and forth. Back to neutral spine, and then we'll take that on the left side. Back to neutral spine. Send the right foot back behind you. Left follows to plank. Now, in plank, and you can't see this very well because I'm wearing a long top. In plank, we've got that lower belly engaged. Press into your hands and kind of explode that space between your shoulder blades. Take 2 more full deep breaths here. Keep your head on straight. At the end of that last breath, find your half plank. So heart shoots out towards the front of your mat, and keeping your elbows really close to your body, bend into your elbows and hover at your rib cage all the way down. Point your toes and walk your feet back. Walk them back as far as you can. Press your pubic bone into the earth, light in the hands. In fact, even bring your hands up off of the mat. And lift as much as you can your chest up off of the earth. Press your pubic bone into the earth. Press the tops of your feet into the earth. From here, hands down, and send yourself back. Child's pose. Let's take 5 full deep breaths in child's. And listen to what you're saying to yourself. Be curious. From our child's, let's curl the toes under, and then let's just work a little bit with our toes. So maybe rocking hips side to side. You can press into your hands here, just staying long in your spine. And just give your pinky toes a little bit of love as well. All right, here's where we're going. Keeping the toes curled under, we're going to rock ourselves back onto the balls of the feet. Now you can keep your hands onto the mat, but wherever we are, whether we've got sort of a balanced pose going here, or we've got our hands on the mat, or somewhere in between, let's think about the inner thighs moving together like they're squeezing on an invisible block. Energize into your ankles as well. So if you are balancing here, see if you can pull your shoulders up over your hips. All right. Hands down to the earth if they're not there already. And then slow, 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 allow the heels to meet the mat. Now you can see I have tight hamstrings, so when I start a practice, I like to bring a big, big bend into my knees. I'm plugged into my heels, and I let my head and neck hang heavy. Arms dangle like a rag doll, or I could hold on to opposite elbows. Wherever you are, notice your breath. This might feel like child's. You might have a different quality to your breath now. Wherever you are, just allow yourself to experience the breath. Let's give it one more full deep breath. And then a deep, deep, deep bend into the knees. Stack vertebra on top of vertebra all the way up into standing. Head and neck come up last. We'll find mountain pose at the top of the mat. So the way to come into mountain is to start from the very get-go. Start from the soles of your feet. So lift your toes up off of the earth and gently place them down one by one by one. Big toe mounds down last. See if you can create as much space in between your toes as possible. Rock onto the balls of your feet and then feel as though you're doing skier. Lean forward, back to, not the balls of your feet, the heels. And then leaning forward, which is looking for that balance place in the feet. And once we feel like, there's the sweet spot, find your sweet spot, engage through your inner thighs again. Pull into your lower belly, so really engage here. If you're a rib flarer like me, lots of us want to stand like this. Let's pull the ribs so that they're in the same kind of plane as your hip points. So instead of this, we got this. Lengthen through your lumbar spine. The more you engage here, the more you're letting go of all those little muscles in the back body, giving yourself some space. Big, wide, expansive chest. So let your collarbones smile and feel the engagement of your shoulder blades down the back, and they are alert and ready, right? We're standing in that beautiful spot between effort and ease. Lift up into the crown of your head. Keep a little gentle tuck of your chin. So if you have a habit of doing this or doing this, let's just find that the chin is parallel to the earth. Lots to think about. This is not an easy pose. But once we get this, we could stand online anywhere. At the DMV or at Disney World or in line for our IDs, whatever, because we have achieved that balance. All right, so here we are at the back of the mat. We're standing in mountain pose. We've got it going on. Inhale your hands up to the sky. Now drop your right hand down to your thigh and take a side stretch towards the right side of your mat. Inhaling, hands high, side stretching left. Inhaling, hands high. Exhale, take a forward fold. Again, feel free to bend into your knees as you do. Inhale, lifting up your torso so that it is parallel to the earth and look forward. And then exhale, pull that belly in and up. Find your forward fold. Now we're going to walk our hands out to a downward facing dog. Now lots of people who are new to yoga get all connected with the heels in the downward dog. They feel like their heels have to be in downward dog, on the ground in downward dog. But really, what we want to do is make sure that the back body is as long and strong as possible. So press your tailbone away from you. Keep that bend into the knees if you have tight hamstrings. Really engage through your upper part of your back body. So feel those shoulder blades kind of wrapping around your upper back. Now, to measure out your downward dog, pull yourself up into plank pose. Now, I had to move my feet just a skosh. Without moving hands and feet, come back to your downward dog. That's your downward dog. All right? So no need to improve on it. This is what it is. It's telling you what it needs. It's giving you wisdom the way it is. All right, now let's walk our feet up to meet our hands. And for some of us who are new to this is kind of where we stop. It's okay. Bring your hands back to your feet. Bend into your knees and then stack vertebra on top of vertebra all the way up into standing. Now let's all come to the top of the mat. Here is where, for those of us who have blocks, they might be handy. So keep them at the top of the mat. Inhale, hands high. Drop your right hand down, side stretching right. Inhale, both hands high, and side stretching left. Inhale, both hands high. Take a forward fold. Inhale, lifting, lengthening. Exhale, fold maybe a bit deeper. Now grab onto those blocks or touch your floor and send your right foot back behind you for lunge. Now see how the blocks bring the floor to meet my hands. I could do it on any kind of surface. If you are far up off the floor, you don't have blocks, that's okay too. Just use cupcake hands, spider tip fingers. But we want the left knee on top of left ankle, and we want to get as long and strong in the back leg as possible for lunge. From here, drop your hands to the earth. You can always keep them on your blocks if you'd like, and step yourself back to downward dog. On your next inhale, find plank. Drop your knees to the earth, establish your half plank, and then exhaling, take that Ardha Chaturanga. Inhale up into your baby cobra, and then exhale through your child's, curl your toes under, and up and back, downward facing dog. Begin a walk towards your hands, or your hands towards your feet, or a hybrid. Exhaling, forward folding one more time. Let something go. This time, energetically, all the way up, reach high. Hands together, heart center. Hands to the sides of the body, mountain pose. Inhale, hands high. Exhale, take a forward fold. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Again, feel free to grab for your blocks. If you don't have them, not a big deal. We're just stepping back into our lunge. All right, so wherever you are, find that lunge, lift through the heart, power up through the back leg. Now hands to the mat and step it back. Downward facing dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, knees to earth. Establish half plank. So scoop that lower belly in, power up through your glutes. Exhale, bend into your elbows and all the way down. Baby cobra, pubic bone into the earth. Exhale through child's. Downward dog. Now let's all drop to our knees. Take a child's or any kind of resting pose. We've had a couple, right? We've had on the back, we've had table, we've had our child's pose, we've also had Makarasana. So next 8 breaths, please find some sense of rest. And as you do, be curious about things. Where you find tension in the body. where you find release, how your breath seems to be flowing. Is it jaggedy or pointy in places? Is it smooth in others? All of this is valid. All of it is good. Good information. Let's take 2 more breaths. And after that second breath, curling toes under, lifting hips up and back, downward facing dog. Your choice, walking your feet to your hands or your hands to your feet. We will find our way into a forward fold on exhale. And then inhaling energetically all the way up, reaching high, and hands together, heart center, hands to the sides of the body. That is called a Surya Namaskar A. That's a series of poses that we do to warm the body. Let's try Surya Namaskar B. It always starts with what is called Utkatasana, chair pose. 2 ways to do this. We can find mountain pose in our body, the way we were doing, and then just sit down into an invisible chair. You'll see that there's a gap between my knees. Or you can bring the big toe mounds together to touch and sit down. Knees will touch here. Either way, whatever's comfortable in your body, we're just going to sit in an invisible chair. Now, let's try and keep the upper part of the body, the torso, in mountain pose. So just kind of keeping that length in the back body, the natural S-curves of your spine, shoulder blades down the back, and perhaps lifting the hands up or cactus arms. Rock onto the heels of your feet and sit just a little bit lower. Engage through your inner thighs. Deep full breath here. Exhaling, forward folding. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale and fold. We're making our way back to downward facing dog and paddling out into dog. On your next inhale, plank posture. Exhale, knees to earth, establish half plank, look forward, shoulder blades down the back, find your Ardha Chaturanga, inhale up into your baby cobra, and then exhaling back, downward facing dog. So take a big step forward with your right foot. Wherever it lands is just fine. And bring your left foot so that the toes are pointing up to the left upper corner of your mat. And once you've established this, on your inhale, roll up, warrior 1. So the back heel is integrated, the front foot integrated. For those of us who are feeling a little wobbly, take a look at how much space is between your feet. So right foot, right lane, left foot, left lane. It might be there, you feel like you're standing on a wire. Keep the knee at the front of your mat, tracking over your ankle. Hands can come up or cactus arms, whichever feels best on your shoulders. Press into your back heel. Engage into your quads by pulling that kneecap up towards your pubis. Deep full breath here. And out. Give it one more full, deep, smooth, continuous breath. And then bring your hands down to frame out that foot. And step yourself back, downward facing dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, knees to earth, Ardha Chaturanga. Inhaling, back bend. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Take a big step forward with your left foot. Establish. Right foot, a little bit forward, toes towards the front of your mat. Rise up. Give yourself a moment just to notice if the feet are fully planted. So if you feel that back heel coming up, take a shorter stance. All right? We're just trying to figure out the way our body works, where our mind is. Let's give it 2 more breaths here. On your exhale, frame it out, wiggle your back toes back, and step yourself back, downward facing dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, knees to earth. Shine the heart forward as you come into your Ardha Chaturanga. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, downward facing dog. Wherever you are, let's take another 5 full deep resting breaths. Now, here's where you get to practice a little self-compassion. Anytime we take resting breaths, you have every invitation you need to drop to your knees and take it in child's. And in fact, you never need an invitation to do that. Just taking care of yourself along the way. Alrighty. We will come back to our downward dog when you're ready. And again, establishing the dog. You know, sometimes when we sort of throw ourselves into poses, we can't engage what we need to engage. So feel as though you're pressing your hips back, strengthening into your lower belly, pulling those lower ribs into the body, and shoulder blades wrapping around the upper part of your back. Send your right foot forward, and this time, let's bring the back foot parallel to the back of the mat. And once again, once we're here, heel intersects with heel, or heel intersects with the middle of the back foot. Coming up into Warrior Two. Let's take a little bit of a flow here in Warrior Two. Inhaling both hands high, straightening out the front leg. Exhale, palms face down, pressing like you're pressing through big wood, right? Coming back into Warrior Two. You can see that my knee is starting to track over my ankle, so I want to kind of move it so my ankle and my knee stay in line. Inhale up, exhale, Warrior Two. Again, let this be a picture of your breath. There's no need to go at my pace. And the nice thing about Zoom is we don't see anybody else, so we don't have to worry about them either. Let's do one more of these. And then once we've established that Warrior Two, your choice, you can keep your gaze straight ahead, or you can turn your cervical spine so that you're looking over your front middle finger. Press into your hands, activate your back body. On your inhale, raise your right hand up to the sky, long in the right side body. Exhale, bring that elbow to knee at the front of the mat, and bring the left hand up and over like you're going to touch the wall in front of you. Inhale, reverse your warrior again. And exhale, extended side angle. Back up to Warrior Two. And spiral your hands down, frame out your foot, and step it back. Downward facing dog. Find stillness. Left foot forward, and we'll find that the right foot is parallel to the back of the mat. Inhaling up, warrior two. Again, let's try that flow. Inhale up, exhale, warrior two. Conscious of whether the knee is moving beyond your ankle, because we want to move that foot up, get a little bit deeper, just so we can feel the benefits of this practice. And then we'll stay in warrior two. And again, remember, you have every opportunity just to stare at the right side of your room. Or if you want to take the twist into your cervical spine, looking over your left middle finger. Inhale, reverse your warrior, bring your left hand up, long in the left side body. Exhale, extended side angle. Inhale, back up, warrior two. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, extend. And then one more time, warrior two. Bring your hands down to frame out the foot and step yourself back, downward facing dog. And then let's drop to our knees and find hero's pose. Now, hero's pose is not a pose for everybody. If you have really tight tops of your feet, one way to mitigate this is to roll a blanket and place it underneath your ankles so that your feet kind of hang off like so. That would help. Some people, their knees really kind of give them a bother. So maybe taking that blanket and placing it in between your thighs and your calves, or taking your blocks, and I always need 2 blocks, stacking them one on top of the other, bringing sit bones down to the blocks, knees straight ahead. This way, I've got a little bit more length in my torso. Of course, some of us might be able to bring our whole sit bones down between our ankles and continue to have our knees still flush to the floor. Wherever you are, we don't want pain. A little discomfort maybe while we're stretching out the quads. You know, we've done a lot of work in our quads. So now, just stretching them out. But this is a beautiful meditative seat. This allows us to sit up tall and to find the neutral awareness, neutral holding of the pelvis and the spine. So let's just find a place where we can tune inward. Instead of relaxing, now it's being awake. You know, we've moved the energy in the body. We've breathed deep and smoothly, and we've really connected with the body. But the point of this practice is to keep moving inward. So now that we've kind of exhausted ourselves, maybe there's a way to start tuning in. So one way is to touch the breath, one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly. And just feel the breath underneath your hands. off of the blocks or the blanket or out of your hero's pose, off to one side of your hip or the other. Let's bring both legs out. I'm going to show it to you this way. So we're going to take another twist, but this time we're going to be very aware of the torso. So bend into your left knee, and the foot for me is to the inside of my right knee. It might be a little closer for you or a little farther apart, doesn't matter. And then lean back as far as you can. Send your left hand out to the back. Really grow long in the torso. Allow this space to help you find your twist. So we'll find the heart shooting towards the left side of your mat, left side of your room. And then once you feel like you can't go any farther in that twist, bring yourself back up towards your knee. Press into your left hand, right hand up to the sky, and bring it either to the outside of your left knee, or you can hold on to your left knee. And then let's sit tall. Engage into your right foot to pull the toes of the right foot towards you. And if you'd like to take this twist even into the cervical spine, find your gaze back behind you. Notice what's happening with your breath. On your exhale, is there any more spaciousness? And then let's come all the way back around and give yourself a little counter twist, looking at the right side of your room. Drop your left knee to the earth, hands high to the sky, and then just take a forward fold. It can be nice and sloppy here towards your foot, just keeping your foot continued in that flexing motion. But allow yourself just to bend forward. This pose in Sanskrit is called Janusirsasana, knee head pose. Bringing yourself back up, place your left hand down onto the mat, up onto left knee. Take a big side stretch. Heart opens to the ceiling and then down to the mat. Let's do that on the other side. Right knee bends. Lean back. Let your hand help you here. Find that twist. Find the twist. And once you can't go any farther, lift, keep the twist, sit up tall on the sit bones. Let's give it a counter twist. And then back. Drop the right knee to the floor, right foot to the inside of the left thigh, up with the hands, forward folding. Listen. Listen to what you're saying. We're bringing this practice to a close, so we're starting that internal journey. We might start sort of picking up on the ways we talk to ourselves. Coming all the way back up, plant the right hand back behind you, up onto the right knee. Up, up, up. Take a long side stretch, and then an opening of the heart, and then down to the mat. Bring your bum about midway onto the mat. A bend into the knees again. Sit up tall, close to your knees, hands out to the sides, and then lean yourself back. Feel the belly engage here. Hands up to the sky, palms face up to the sky, shoulder blades down, heart is reaching up. Now your choice, we can come down vertebra by vertebra at your pace. You can do it as slowly as you'd like to, or you can just release, release to the mat, right? There's no need to do some things. I want you to honor how you feel. All right, so once we're down, let's bring the knees into the belly and rocking side to side. One more time, we're going to do another twist, but this time we're going to try and engage the breath in a different way. Hands out into T pattern, our cactus arms, and then let's drop the knees over to the right. And once they're down, find your left hand looking for the lowest rib on the left side. And once it's found it, make a saddle with the right hand. Now, breathe so deeply that your hands flare out a little bit with the breath. One more deep full breath. Enjoy that little dark corner of your lung. And then we'll bring hands back into T pattern. Bring the knees over to the other side. Settle in. Relax. Relax. Look for the lowest rib. Make the saddle. And then let's breathe. Coming all the way back up to the center, drop your feet to the floor. And two things we can do here. One is we can do a bridge, so pulling the tailbone up off of the earth, tucking the tailbone, right? And then inhaling, hips high. So taking this long diagonal again, just like we were doing in our Ardha Chaturanga, right? Or if that doesn't feel good and you have a block, you can always, not that it doesn't feel good, it just doesn't feel appropriate to where you are energetically, you can always slide a block or a couple of books underneath your sacral spine and pop your feet up if that feels good, or just keep your feet grounded. Just taking this as a simple inversion. Wherever you are, let's take a good 5 full deep breaths. Deep breaths right here. Allow yourself to really be nurtured by the breath. And then once that 5th breath has left your body, start making your way into Shavasana, which is corpse pose. And let's make ourselves comfortable, right? So if you feel a little tweaky in your lower back, this is where this blanket comes in really handy once more. We can make a little teeny tiny roll with the blanket. We can place that underneath the upper thighs, or we could use blocks underneath the knees. Both of these props are going to allow the sacral spine to stay pretty flat on the earth and kind of release energy here. If you don't have a lower back issue, but you'd like to put something underneath your head, feel free. You might also find yourself getting a little chilly, so keep a blanket on top of you or add extra layers of clothing to your body. And then before you completely release into this sweet restoration, do yourself the honor of paying attention to every single part of your body. This body scan, starting from your toes and working your way up to the crown of your head, is the most compassionate attention you can give yourself. Just taking a time out to say, how do you feel? Now, just as Pema Chodron tells us in the Wisdom of No Escape, precision is important. Just not like, oh, I'm so tired. Where are you tired? Are your toes tired? Are your hips tired? Or I feel pain. That's not helpful. What's helpful is, where is the discomfort in your body? Where is the tension? Where is the openness? Always when we start to investigate things, we see that it's much more subtle and much more complicated than sometimes we're led to believe. So as you sweep the body with this loving kindness attention, label things: tight, tired, open, released, relaxed. Keep moving. When you get to the top of your head, take a deep, full breath in, and then let everything go. Watch that breath to the very last little molecule. It's all gone. You get a do-over. Allow yourself to relax. Let's have a good 3 to 5 minutes of silence. full breath in through the nostrils. Exhale, just let something go. Before movement comes back into your body. Once again, just paying attention. Notice how you come back into the experience of the right now. How the air feels on your skin, perhaps, or the most distant sound you can hear. Let all of your sensations come back and enjoy them one by one. And at the very last, just let your fingers move a little bit, your toes move a little bit. Rotate through your ankles, through your wrists. Move your head carefully, slowly, side to side. And when you feel ready, bring your knees up into your belly. Give yourself a big squeeze. Honor yourself for coming out to the mat on a Friday afternoon. And then when you're ready, using your hands to push yourself up into a seated pose of meditation. Now, once again, this is a place where we really need to find comfort and stability. So we don't want to be rounding, and we don't want to feel kind of frumpy here. We really want to feel as though we're sitting up tall. So give yourself just a moment. Either grab for that blanket or a pillow from your bed. And let's sit up tall. And then just give ourselves just that precious gift of the now. Of just claiming it and living into it and being curious about it. Notice your breath. Continue to deepen and smooth the breath. And notice how your mind wants to focus on just this one breath. That sense of inhale, of lengthening, of possibility, and on exhale of manifesting, of expansion, of groundedness. Know that this is always here for you. To take a pause, to find just this one breath. And so let's stretch out the hands once again to the side walls and scoop up the gifts of this practice between the two hands. Anjali Mudra, prayer pose at the heart. Press your thumb bones deep into breastbone. Feel the beat of your own heart, accepting these gifts. Know that they're accessible anytime you need them. To close out our practice, please join me or just listen to one sound of Om. Inhaling deeply. Thank you, dear new friends, for coming to my class today on Zoom. Feel free to unmute yourself or chat me up in the chat box if you have questions or issues that you'd like me to address. We went pretty far, didn't we? Everybody doing okay? Anybody feel like, no? Like, no, I don't want to do that. All right. Well, thank you all for joining me today. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sachi. Thank you, Sequoia. All righty. I think I got everybody in. No questions, huh? All right, all dear. And let me see what I got. I'm glad it was cool, Florence. Thank you. Alexia, thank you. Naomi, thanks. You have a great weekend, Sachi. So good to see you. And Hermon, I hope I'm saying that right? It's so good to have you with us. All right, so next week we're going to be back in the studio, so I'll see you then. Remember, it's worth hauling those props around. Please bring your props. It'll make all the difference when we get to some restorative practice.